Coming up on today's episode.
What's your take on that kind of shit?
As I clear my throat.
You're like,
Dear
this
Lord.
is heavy.
Well, I can honestly say that I could knock on 99.8% of the properties that we manage unannounced, and I would be invited in with a big smile.
For a cup or two, no doubt.
Absolutely. If we get maintenance issues like that, not only do we go and see them straight away, but we actually give them our maintenance people that can help them to sort it out then and there. And those are really, really simple fixes that you can do along the way. There's just, again, it's communication and it's people getting back to them. It's the relationship that you build with those people. That should never happen.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together.
Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and real estate market. I'm your host, Joe Agresta. Now, today's episode is all about what happens after you buy an investment property. Because buying the asset is one part of the story, but protecting it, managing it well, choosing the right tenant, and making sure it performs over time is a whole other game. And that's exactly what we're unpacking today with Cam Tyers from The Way to Invest, who you all know as one of our repeat guests, and Sherry and Jody also joining us from Frog. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Cam's in a really interesting position here because he's not just in the industry as an advocate, he's also the investor client. He lives in far north Queensland and has trusted Sherry's team to manage his Victorian investment property, which says a lot in itself. So, in today's episode, you're going to learn what makes a great property manager, how tenant selection actually works, why it matters so much in the long-term performance of the investment, and what questions every investor should be asking before they hand over the keys. So, Cam, Sherry, Jody, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us here.
I'm
super excited.
Oh, I've been so pumped because we had a chat last night. I just thought I'd quickly introduce myself and you were so lovely. And I'm like,
thank you.
we're going to have a ball. Don't even worry about it. You didn't need much prep. It's fine.
Thank you, Cam.
No, you're welcome. It's fun. Love doing this. And don't get to see you guys very often, but it's my property's managed very well. So love it. And what a great opportunity.
No, good on you. I think today's episode is really interesting, right? And I think the best place to start when we get new guests on the show is always your experience and your background. So Sherry, I'll go to you first. Tell us a bit about, who you are, your role, and what your business focuses on when it comes to property management.
Sure. I'm the director of Frog Property and I am also an investor in residential and commercial property. I also have a sales background. I've been in real estate for over 30 years. I stepped out into my own business quite a few years ago, purely because I actually saw how badly it was being managed by some of the companies that I worked in, and I decided that I wanted to do it differently.
Good on you. And this is something I resonated so well with on the phone. I'm like, we get to have 30 years of experience on this podcast. Let's squeeze all the value out that we can.
Awesome.
And Jody, tell us about your role and what part of the management process you're mostly involved in day to day.
Yeah, beautiful. I am the property manager, so we work as a team closely. My main role day to day is really interacting with our clients, with the renters, with our trades, really just working on that clear communication, dealing with things like maintenance and inspections and just making sure everything runs really smoothly.
I love that because that's the backbone of good management, right? And I've seen this done really poorly before where you just have submissions come in. Like my partner, when I met her, she was renting. Oh man, the amount of shit we never got done. I'm like, where were you guys? And Cam, as always, you're the investor in all of this. You're having your property managed with Sherry and Jody. So, in this situation, why was choosing the right property manager such a big deal for you, especially because you live interstate?
Well, it's very big. I'm very big on having the right property manager. You don't want to be just a number. You want to have the right tenants in there. You want to have the right property to start with to make sure that it's all well looked after.
Yeah.
And essentially what your property to be set and forget. Time I remember about my property is every fortnight or every month when I get that paycheck.
Yeah, true.
You get that dreaded call every now and again and say, Cameron, we need this fixed. But okay, well done. Let's do it. Let's fix it. Because your aim is to keep the great tenants in there for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So they want to feel like it's their home, and we work together to be able to do that so we don't have much turnover.
That's fantastic, and well done for you guys on taking that on.
Thank you. We enjoy it though.
Because how many years have you guys managed Cam's property now for?
I bought it back in December 22.
We've had it ever since.
Wow, good on you. So how did you guys all meet? Like, to tell me a little bit about that.
Dodgy story.
Dodgy. Here we go.
I was selling a home.
And I got it bought. I was using a buyer's agent time. That buyer's agent bought that property.
Yep.
I found it. But, and Sherry was selling it, and she's like, well, how would you feel about us managing it? And I'm like, let's do it. And we went. So obviously I did my own due diligence in that to see how, I felt comfortable with it, and it all paid off. And I've got things that I always tell my clients about when you're choosing the right property manager. And I do not have any big agencies that manage any of my properties. They're all smaller boutique ones because they look after you.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And, I guess this is probably the right place to start, because a lot of investors focus so much on buying the property. So it's like, that's the focus is, did I buy the right asset? Okay, cool, I got it. And then they kind of let it all fall to pieces, with the property management side. And I'm sure, Sherry, you say this all the time.
We take over files all the time that reflect that, for sure.
Yeah, and I know that it sucks, right? Because, you don't want people to have spent all this money on trying to get a really good investment, and then you find out, like, you're probably getting books handed over to you or properties handed over that have had shit management for years.
Correct.
And
unfortunately, a lot of investors let it go too long before proactively doing something about it. So there's a clean-up to do.
Yeah, I can absolutely imagine. And how do you even go about tackling that? Like, when you get a property that comes across your desk that you're like, oh, Jesus, what are the red flags that you often see?
The red flags are files not being handled properly from the very beginning, and we concentrate so heavily on our ongoing condition reports. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that we have to fall back on to protect the owner and to protect their asset, but also to protect the renter in the property as well. Because, sorry, Cam, but a lot of investors forget about what their properties actually really look like.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point.
So let's paint a black and white picture of what the home is. But look, I recently took over a file from another agent. We had very few comments made on this 4-bedroom home and 9 photos in total. And I was mortified. And I did say to the owner, let's get your tenant on track, because we can't rely on anything should we need to take this further. So let's fix up the relationships first, and that's what we concentrate on.
That's awesome. I love knowing that. And Jody, do you find the same thing, and then you're handed the files and having to put out fires?
Look, we can be a little bit picky about who we want to work with as well, because we only want to work with great people and build those strong relationships. But as Sherry said, it really is that relationship you build with the renter, because if the file is a mess and you don't have the ingoing condition report and things to fall back on, if you've got that relationship with the renter, if something does need to be addressed at the end of the tenancy, if you've built that relationship with them, you can handle it without needing to take further action, which is really important.
That's a huge point, right? Because I think a lot of the media, or like what you see on socials, is people complaining about property managers. Now, I know that because I've seen some really shit ones.
There's some very lazy ones out there.
100%. But when you get a good one, and we've had a couple on the show, but even you guys, the way you talk about it, and the fact that Cam is the client and he's like, you need Sherry and Jody here, speaks volumes, right? So I want to kick off into our Reddit segment. So this is where our listeners, shout out to you guys. Thank you for always submitting your stories. They submit us Reddit threads where they want us to address them with certain professionals. So I pulled one from the backlog this week, and I thought it was perfect for this episode. So this is from an investor trying to work out what to look for in a property manager, what pitfalls to avoid, and whether local presence and the actual person managing the property matter. So I'm going to read out the story, and I just want to get you guys' take. All right. So they write, "Hi all, I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit that's newly built in 2018 in Brizzy, Queensland. We are relocating to the coast, approximately an hour away. I'm looking for a property manager to firstly put it on the market, and once it's done, let them manage the tenancy? This is all new to me, so I'd like some general advice as to what to look out for when choosing a property manager. What pitfalls should I avoid? Should I go for a well-known agency, i.e. Ray White, or should I consider a boutique property agency? Should they have an office near the suburb at the unit where the unit is located? What is reasonable percentage to pay for the property manager? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Now, I will break that down again.
Thank you.
Just like fire away. But I guess broadly, when investors are choosing a property manager, what are they usually focusing on that matters less than they think? So like they come to you with the biggest concern, but you're like, that is probably right down at the bottom.
Yeah. I think most landlords, when they do come across to us, are more concerned about the fee that they're going to pay as opposed to the service that they're going to receive or that personalised service that they themselves get. Like you're talking in this case where the client is living an hour away, they don't have the ability to more than likely come in and do their own maintenance.
Yeah.
So you really want to find a property manager who has a great support team around them as well, with the services that they are absolutely able to provide. But, how to choose a great property manager? Go and shop them first.
Yep.
Do a secret shop on them. Walk through one of their opens that they're conducting for looking for a renter and pretend you're a renter. Walk through. See how you're treated. Or pick a property that they're managing and call them and see how helpful they are if you're asking them some questions or trying to organise a private appointment.
That's a really great tip, actually. Yeah, because you're getting to see the performance of how do they operate at opens. And trust me, this is where a lot of the cracks come through when you've got someone who doesn't give a shit.
How they treat your renters is a direct reflection on how your renters are going to treat your home.
Yep, spot on. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And Cam, when you hear this kind of story, is this a similar position to what you were in when you first started looking for a property manager?
Yeah, 100%, because it's like, what is it you want? Do you want you probably look after? But as you touched on, and the question that everyone asks, and I get the same question, how much do they cost?
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking about property managers. But I say, I don't have a clue because it doesn't matter. What does matter is what you're going to get out of the property.
Yep.
So, and it's exactly the same question we get as a buyer's agent. It's the first question, what's your fee? Well, what's the value? So if we can negotiate the fee and say, look, if you want to pay this, we'll give you that. But if you want to pay this, we'll give you that.
Yeah.
So like if you want us to go visit your property once, every 2 years, well, you pay this. Then once every 3 months, we'll pay this. But again, the biggest thing is your team around you. So making sure you do your due diligence to make sure that right team is around, and that's the most important thing.
That's paramount, I think, is that support around you, especially with your asset. Like, I love that we've got this dynamic of investors and property managers in the room because I can ask you the same question, right?
The thing is, we all have the same answer to the same question.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? And the answer is to have your team around you. The value of what you're going to get is the same. It's just they're in property management. I'm a buyer's agent. It's even the same for selling agents.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
have a team around you. Just because they might charge less doesn't mean that they're the best fit.
So then I guess what made you end up, did you survey for other property managers at the time, or did you kind of just, because I know what you're like, you kind of have that gut feel and that trust?
Yeah, I do, but I also have, definitely gut feel. That's a huge thing for me. But, I did research and I looked at other places around, like I do with my clients as well. But, you get that relationship with them, you get that feeling of them. And I ask for their reports every time. So can you send me your, your property management reports and all this sort of stuff? And then you can get that feel straight away. And I do this with the people I recommend in Cairns too. So they'll say this, like they'll all send 3 reports to them, the ones that I've recommended, and then I'll see them and then they'll be like, well, I think you should go with this one first.
So what stood out to you when you saw, Sherry and Jody's report from Frog? Like what stood out to you in comparison to the others, if you remember that far back? Come on. Answer the question, Cam.
Definitely the hairstyle. It's all about the hairstyle.
Really? Yeah.
Look, it was a process with buying this property because this property wasn't brand new. It was an older property as well. There was a lot of stuff that it was potentially, I'd say, hoarder.
Shit.
Yeah. So, but the recommendations that were given to me was like, well, you know this property, you've been dealing with these sellers for a while. You've got the best interest for the property. And so that's what made me feel comfortable. No one else that I had spoken to could give me that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get any satisfaction. They had the bonus, obviously, by selling the property at the same time, but I couldn't get any feedback from that from any other property manager. So, and I was a number to them.
And that's the interesting part. Like, how long had you guys had that property? Was it just from the sale, or did you actually manage it as a rental prior to
Owner occupied, so it was a pure sale when you came through to have a look at the property. Yeah.
So there you go. Like, it's just interesting, like, you know, because you understand the property. So it's powerful when you get to see it from a selling perspective. Find the investor for it, or the owner occupier for it. In this case, Cam being an investor, then you're able to know exactly how to manage it.
But that's the beauty also of doing the sale and the management of it all within the same team, and then me having an involvement in each of those areas as well, because I can see whether it's going to be a good investment or not.
It's a good point too, because I remember yesterday I said to you, I'm like, I never see so many standalone property management businesses, but I also see property management done at the, I'm not going to name names, but, you know, we all know who they are, the higher level, the big conglomerates. I don't see it done well all the time.
Yeah.
I find that the niche individual businesses like yourselves have a very different system.
I think that because it is a smaller business, we're very, very accountable for everything that we do for each of our clients. But our main focus in our business also is to get for all of our clients to know who we are.
Yep.
For all of our renters to know who we are. They've all got our private mobile numbers. They've all got our private email addresses. So if anything happens after hours or a weekend, we are a point of contact for them all the time to support them.
That's incredible. Like, for support, like, kudos to you guys.
But that's the way that we then look after Cam's property.
True.
Because if we don't give them access to us, we can't look after him. And our job is to look after his property. He's trusted us with it, and we treat it like it's ours.
I love that. Like, what a great message, because it's, like I said, I've seen it at the higher levels, and it's, I'm clocked off on Saturday, Sunday, mate. But it's like often that's when all the shit happens, you know, the maintenance of requests, the oven's gone, some sort of flood.
Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Have we got a story here?
I got a call on Christmas Eve. Something had happened. I think it was I can't remember what it was.
There was a plumbing issue, but we sorted it out. It's all good.
It wasn't major, but of course something happens at Christmas Eve when no one can come around. But just like that, straight away, it was sorted. So,
And that's a relationship that we build with our service providers, that they will act and help us out every time we get stuck.
That's so cool. Like,
that's great.
You know, well done to you guys for like upping that level of service.
I think the other difference is as well is finding a property manager that gives you that end-to-end service. Because what we find with a lot of businesses is that they will only do particular parts of the job. So not only for the owner of the property, but also for the renter, there's no consistency on who they contact at what point. So that's a really big question that property investors should be asking potential property managers as well.
Agreed. And it kind of gives me that same thing. It's like, you know, when you're being screened by potential investors, like for these properties to manage, what are some of the things that they probably focus too much on that you're like, that doesn't matter, we need to focus, you know, you probably should ask about X, Y, Z instead?
How that property manager is going to choose the right renter to live in their home.
Yeah. And that
is number one.
Yep. Let's get into it, because tenant selection can often make or break that investment in terms of repairs or issues. And I've seen, like, as a real estate agent in my experience, I dealt with long-term tenants a lot of the time. They were there for 30 years in some cases. And I'm like, wow, and they've like looked after them on the rent. That person's basically paid off their mortgage, and then they've let them have any rent that they want after the long term. It's just unbelievable. So getting into tenant selection, this is where a lot of protection, I think, really happens for your investors. How do you actually choose the right tenant?
Okay. So in Victoria, our tenancy applications have just become standard across the board. And that means that the questions that we used to be able to ask them, like, have you got any pets and do you have a job?
They're gone.
There's very, very little information.
It's very limited now as to the information that an application actually provides. So now more than ever, it's really important that we're meeting the potential renters. They're coming through to have a look at the property, because at the end of the day, now it's really about getting that gut feel when you meet them, because on paper, there's not a lot to go off.
I can't believe when they came out with the updates for the change of standardization of the tenant applications, I'm a little bit blown away, to be honest, because of how limiting it is.
Especially when the reason given was that it was to make it easier for the renters to apply.
Well, I would love your opinion on this, right? Because I feel like less questions is worse when you're trying to get to know them.
It's always important to look after the privacy of someone who's applying, because it can sometimes feel like the questions are quite intrusive.
Absolutely.
So I get it from that perspective, but it's also making it harder when someone can't provide you a lot of information. You don't have a lot of references to check or a lot of background information. It actually makes their application look worse.
Yeah,
so
of course.
they've overcorrected and actually made it harder for renters, I think.
One of the things that we do in our business is we actually open up each of the properties for half an hour, just like we would if the property was for sale.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is to get to know the people that are coming through the door and have a conversation with them, because people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So you ask them a couple of key questions and you're going to find out so much about them, which is just absolutely awesome. But also then looking for things like, what sort of car are they driving? And it's not about the model or how new it is. It's about whether the back seat's full of McDonald's wrappers.
Are they taking care of the car? Will they take care of the house?
So we're looking for key bits of information when we're meeting with our renters, because when we're filling out the application and processing that, again, we're just trying to match records of what they're telling us.
Yeah, so it's kind of like proofing. It's like,
100%.
Well, you said you do this, but I just saw your car, mate.
But, it's really scary when there's so many businesses out there only opening up properties for 10 to 15 minutes. And then quite often it's someone who's employed only to do that role.
Yep.
So the person who's then processing the application hasn't even met the clients. How do you then choose? And sometimes they've even got VAs that are checking these references, and they're in the Philippines or wherever they are. They do a great role, but I just don't know that you can join the dots.
No, but you made a really important point there, though. A lot of it, like Cam, goes by gut feel. I'm sure you do the same. You get a very big impression when you meet people in person. So it's like, you talk on the phone, you kind of already get a vibe. When you meet them in person, you get that energy and you go, yeah, we're going to gel. Imagine that being so disconnected between three different parties. How do you even get the right tenant in there? Do you think this is why we see properties ending up in bad positions in the long term?
I think that sometimes property managers will take on the desperation of the landlord.
Yeah.
And the desperation of the landlord is to get someone in there quick because they've got a mortgage repayment coming up. So our focus is always to take ourselves out of that situation and work really hard to find the right tenant as quickly as possible, as opposed to just filling it for the sake of filling it. Because I think that you're saving yourself time in the beginning. You're going to run into greater problems in the end or during the process. But more importantly, it's really difficult to get renters out of homes these days.
Yeah.
So it's got to be set up properly from the beginning. And at the end of the day, we don't want stress.
Oh, of course
we don't
not.
want you to have any stress. We're there to protect your asset. So that's our number one focus.
Well, I have a question for you, and this is something that was submitted to us by one of our listeners, and it said, is the best tenant always the one offering the highest rent?
Well, not only can you not ask for more rent or accept more rent in Victoria, but no, quite often that will be a sign of desperation.
Right. And Cam, when you were weighing up like tenant applications, so walk me through, you guys would obviously screen for that tenant. And is that then handed to Cam with recommendations, or how does Cam make the selection in the end?
We treat every property like it's our own. I own investment properties. Jody's got a great portfolio of investment properties.
Well done.
So we know it from both ends of what it means to you. So it's really, really important that the people that we put forward to you are the people that if that was our home, we would be happy to have them living in there.
Yeah.
The final decision's yours, because quite often you're hit with multiple brilliant applications.
And how did you choose who you
So,
wanted?
like anything, it's the recommendations often, and I get told, you got this, you've got that, and I'm essentially guided by you guys on which applications you think is best, and I've put them in a position of trust.
Yeah,
and so that's how I choose.
Yeah,
purely by their guidance.
And then you take out insurance.
Absolutely, definitely take out insurance.
Landlord insurance.
Landlord insurance, 100%.
That is a whole topic that we need to
Maybe the
cover.
whole topic.
I worked in insurance, used to sell landlord insurance. I can say a lot of shit in a good way. You've got to get insurance.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff that can, go wrong.
Like all insurance, you hope you never have to use it, but you've got to have it just in case.
But I used to always say it pays off when you even use it once.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like, because if you had to pay for this problem outright, what's like 5 years worth of policy, fine.
And our goal is to never use it.
No.
Always.
Right.
Yeah, we never want to use it, but if it's really bad, we've got a backup plan. Exactly, a plan B. And, yes, what is, I think, Cam, from the investor side, I want to ask, like, how much confidence does that process give you when you know it's being handled literally by these guys end to end, as opposed to like the ones that hand off at different points, like VAs?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a peace of mind. You're going to get tenants that are going to come into your property and look after it. And if there is a problem, that they're going to be open and transparent to tell the property managers that there is an issue.
Yeah, of course.
You get all different kinds of people coming into rentals. You get people that have never rented before. You get people that are seasoned renters that only will ever rent in their life. And, that's great and that's their choice. But it's about guiding people on, how it works. But the other thing is that when it comes to picking that right tenant, I want my tenants to be in my property forever.
Yeah.
So if they're feeling like they're supported, they're not always going to say, I actually want to buy a property now. I'm happy living where I live. Let's just do that. And one of my other properties in Adelaide, she's lived in that property longer than I ever did.
Wow.
Just because she loves living there. She loves
it's her home.
It's her home. And that's what I want for my tenants, is it's their home.
And
so I think there's an emphasis on greedy landlords. There's also a big emphasis on, we just want the paychecks, but I'm guided by what that you guys say, and you guys know the legislation back to front.
Yeah.
As a borderless investor, if I knew every legislation, Jesus, I'd be an encyclopedia of property rents.
I think, we just need to turn you into a call centre in AI.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, Victoria is completely different to South Australia, completely different to Queensland. And as a borderless investor, I'm not going to know them all. So it's understanding that, but making sure that you've got that relationship to make sure that whatever happens, it's right by the tenant to stay there forever.
I really appreciate that, because I think a lot of people have the impression that as investors, our goal is to kick people out of their properties as quickly as possible. But it's like, no, the whole point we bought an investment is to keep you there. We just want you to be happy. What are some of the things that you typically would recommend to investors, like, yourself, Jody, or Sherry, like, to do to the properties to get that long-term tenant?
Yeah, building a relationship with them, number one, but also helping them to settle into the property. So a lot of people who rent, not all of them have owned homes before.
Yeah.
So it's educating them as well on what to look for in a home and when they need to contact us to give us some feedback on what's happening with the home.
Right.
So that's things like, looking when they're cleaning the shower. We're only going through every 6 months. I need them to tell me if the grout's starting to fall out between the tiles so that we don't have water ingressing in behind it.
Right.
Also, how to look after mold in the home and what actually causes it, how to prevent it. It's just an education for us, how to clean filters on air conditioning units and how often so that they don't blow up. It's those little things that you need to actually do with your renters to settle them into a home for them to feel comfortable and in control and to know that they can lean on us.
Yeah, it's like you're there to support, not to hound.
100%, absolutely. And it's a little bit like when we go through to do routine inspections. It's not a white glove inspection. I don't care if they've washed their clothes that week. It is literally about looking at, what is your home doing? Do our gutters need to be cleaned? What is it that's little now that's going to be very, very costly in the future? What can we prevent?
Yeah.
We're there to see, have we got new cracks in the walls? Have we got something happening with the foundations? Have we got whatever the situation is, but we're protecting your asset. That's what it's all about.
That's right. And it's about the tenants being comfortable, because I have had that with another property, and like the property manager's gone through and like, there's dust on there. We need to I'll need to bring that up with them. No, you don't. You're not bringing that up. Dust is a thing. It's not causing any detriment to the property. So let's forget it. And, we can move on from that. So back their truck up a bit.
I've got a personal story I want to share, right? Because this is very topical. Cool. All right. My partner and I, when we were moving her out of her house, all right, now I stuffed up. I was excited to see her and I drove into her garage and I nudged the plaster. And when I say nudged, I literally just pressed this little dent into the wall and I was like, oh, shit. And I told her and she goes, that's all right. We'll call the landlord or, call the property manager and we'll sort it out. And she goes, don't even worry about it. And I'm like, I'll pay for it. We were dating like 3 weeks in. Not crashed into her garage. Yeah, great start. Don't know how we've been together 8 years, so it's fine now. But what was really interesting is about she reported it, and then she didn't get any call back. I want to call it maybe 3 months, and she followed up and she goes, "Look, I've done my due diligence. I reported it." She goes, "So now they can't come back at me to say, oh, hey, you damaged the property." Their routine inspections, get this, were done with her on a video call and her walking them around the house. And I said to my partner, I'm like, do you know how bad that is? And she goes, oh, look, it works for me, but yeah, I see your point. And I said, no, this is someone's investment. I said, because I was investing back then. And I'm like, I'd bloody kill the property manager. So I always had beef with her property manager. I'd be calling going, right, what are you doing? When do you come to this house? How often are you coming here? And when we were about to move her out, the property, that dent in the wall that we had reported didn't get fixed. And when the property manager said, okay, for final inspection, you got to get the proper clean, end of lease clean. So we did all of that, took photos of that damage and said, we've already got time-stamped photos from 6 months prior. Here they are again. The property manager then went to the property after she moved out, sent photos of a gaping, smashed hole in the wall and said, you didn't report this. And we're like, what? My partner rings me straight away and she goes, what the we didn't do that. And I said, they are trying to not give you your bond. And I said, this is a joke. And I'm like, so we took all the photos, had all the timestamps and threatened them with VCAT, going, no, we'll happily go to VCAT. Happily smiling, go to VCAT. If you think we did that damage, yeah, happy to go to VCAT. Never heard from them again. What's your take on that kind of shit?
As I clear my throat.
You're like,
this
is heavy.
I can honestly say that I could knock on 99.8% of the properties that we manage unannounced and I would be invited in with a big smile.
For a cup or two, no doubt.
Absolutely. If we get maintenance issues like that, not only do we go and see them straight away, but we actually give them our maintenance people that can help them to sort it out then and there. And those are really, really simple fixes that you can do along the way. There's just, again, it's communication and it's people getting back to them. It's the relationship that you build with those people. That should never happen.
Yeah, it
crazy. Should never happen. You should never, ever have a beef with your property manager.
Yeah, and this is what blows my mind.
It's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship where we're helping them to feel comfortable in the home, which helps you achieve your property goals and why you bought the investment in the very first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what's your reaction to that, Cam?
Oh, I mean, you can't help everyone, can you?
No.
That's just bad management. That's just, that's not a relationship. That's a business transaction, essentially. And people have investment portfolios for business, but it's greedy landlords too. This is something I wanted to focus on is, as I said, I'm guided by the property management team, but I had a conversation probably late last year and they're like, oh, we're in competition with these other guys, like we're edge and edge. And it was about, oh, they've got 3,000 properties, they've got 2,000. So that's what they're in competition about, not about having the right properties and the right tenants and all that sort of stuff. It's just a numbers game. And that's what that is. If they're not going around inspecting it properly, every nook and cranny, they don't care.
Yeah.
And if they want to say, oh, look, here's a hole, yeah, as you said, take your bond. And the government, I feel, is doing good things to put this in, to nut this down.
Yeah.
Which is great because, as I said before, not everyone wants to buy. People want to rent their whole life. And, rent vesting's a good thing too. People can't live on the foreshore. they can't buy there, but they can afford to rent there. So everyone
and
makes
they buy
choices.
elsewhere.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then we manage their properties.
Yeah.
How many renters own investment properties and we manage it for them? Whilst they're renters.
Yeah,
It's great.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
It is great.
that's right. Yeah, it's lifestyle.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and Cam, you were just saying you wanted to have a bit of a chat about that whole, like, the idea of, I guess, what was it? It was not. What did you just say before? You had a term in there.
So the greedy landlord.
Greedy
So
landlords.
it's like, if something happens, what do you have to do is fix it. And big thing we have up in Cairns is, I hear this all the time, is like the air cons aren't working. They're not fixing the air cons.
That's detrimental in Cairns.
Tropical, far north Queensland, it is hot. And for a tenant, for the landlord to turn around and not fix that, one, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But would you do it? Would you live in a place without aircon up there? Absolutely not.
Oh, I absolutely wouldn't after my visit.
I put in things where it's like, if something happens, fix it and tell me later.
Yeah.
But I'm also, when it comes to the price, and this is where a lot of greedy landlords come in, and this is where people, I feel, are getting their properties turned over all the time with different tenants. There's a lot more work involved for everyone, is that they're guided by the price, how much rent, right? It is. And people, and there's been good runs over COVID. I'm thinking this is going to happen again with what's currently happening, but go on the market value. Just because you can get that extra $30 a week, who cares?
Yeah.
If you're going to lose these tenants for $30 a week, or you're going to keep the really good tenants you got in, lose the $30.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, because you're going to have good tenants, they're going to look after your property, everyone's going to be happy, and you'll make it up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that it's a huge thing. And you guys said, I think, Jody, you mentioned this before, you're like, that mentality of working with those types of, they've got to be a right fit for you and your team.
Absolutely. Well, because if you're working with the wrong type of people, it's more work for yourself at the end of the day. It's more stress for you, for the renter as well. Because at the end of the day, even though it's not their house, it's their home. You want them to be comfortable. And just like Cam was saying, trying to squeeze that extra $30 out of them. If those people end up leaving, then you've got costs for advertising to find a new renter. You've got a vacancy period between the people moving out. So that profit that you think you've got, you've actually lost in that process. You're better off to keep the great quality renters that are going to look after your property.
And our job is to look after your investment and your portfolio, but property is just a vehicle.
That's
so
right.
if you don't know why you bought it or what it needs to achieve for you, how do we help you if you're being the block in the way of us being able to do the right thing by you?
That's a massive point. Yeah. And I think that you being your own worst enemy as an investor, it's like, I like what you said, Jody, like, it's not your house, but it's your home. That's a really key phrase that I want everywhere, because it is their home, and you want to make them feel comfortable, happy. And like, all of you have said, is you want them to live there and be happy.
Well, the more comfortable they are and the more respect you show them, the more respect they'll show to the property. They'll look after it. They'll report things as it comes up so we can address what's needed. And it's just building that healthy long-term relationship with them and then encouraging them to stay.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. So what's your average of people staying in your properties, would you say? Like, how long's your longest tenant?
Goodness, put me on the spot.
That's really hard to tell, but we've got some of our renters who have been with us for 7 years plus.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. Great majority of them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations to have that kind of tenure.
That's because they changed them.
They're like, we sort them out behind the scenes, but we don't talk about that.
Have we answered all his questions?
I don't think so. So I think we've got a little bit more to go.
We've lost track.
And, yeah, we have. So I guess where I want to change gears is, tenant selection isn't just about filling the property, it's risk management, which brings me to what the wrong property management or wrong tenant costs when it comes to investment. So what can the wrong property manager or the wrong tenant cost an investor over time if you get this wrong from the beginning?
Do you want me to run with this story? We had a doozy.
Oh, go on. I love a doozy.
Last week.
Yeah, the short answer is stress and money, but Sherry can fill in the rest.
You're like, here are the cliff notes. Stress, money.
We took over a file from a organisation last week, when we picked up the file, the property manager had issued a new new lease for another 12-month period. So the rent has already been there for 12 months. They've just re-signed another 12 months. But what she forgot to do was issue the notice of rent increase as per the instructions of the landlord correctly.
Oh, shit.
So because he's now signed this 12-month lease, but the notice of rent increase wasn't issued correctly and it didn't form part of the new lease, he's on the old rent of 12 months ago. So over this period of the next 12 months, he's lost about just over $3,000.
Wow.
Which we can't recoup.
No, because if it wasn't issued correctly, that's too bad. Like, because it's like kind of...
And his conversation with that property manager and the principal led to, just get your new agent to reissue new leases, which legally we obviously can't do. But that's what it can cost you. A lot of stress, financial loss. And look, at the end of the day, people go out and buy investments because they're looking to get ahead.
That's right.
And they're putting things on the line. Like quite often your rent's not covering your mortgage repayment.
Yeah.
So you're literally putting money in for someone to live in your home. You want it to be stress-free. You want it to be as comfortable for them as they want it to be. So from a landlord's perspective, how much involvement do you want? Do you want it as a set and forget where everything's taken care of for you? What involvement do you want? Because you still need control if that's what you want. So, yeah.
It's good to let go of that control.
But not everyone can, which is fine as well.
Yeah.
They have to buy a second property and then we teach them to let go.
I can do that for them.
But it's like, with you, Cam, are you the set and forget type or are you the, want to be involved?
No, I'm set and forget,
Yeah.
I believe. And I just, if something's to be fixed, it gets fixed. And the other point I want to touch on is if I know it spoke a bit about the payment, but if you overcharge your tenants by say $30 and then they'll go and do research and find another property that is at market value. So you've essentially lost that. You're going to lose income because you've got to try and find it, another month's worth of tenants too.
Well, it's
Whereas
the same.
if you just pay at market value, they can look and they're not going to find anything else.
Well, it's the same as like when you're buying real estate, like any property for sale, right? It's time in market doesn't equal more money, more gained. It's that loss of staying on the market for longer. And same with vacancies, I'd imagine.
It's long term. Like buying property, investing isn't just an overnight thing. We're buying a long term slow process and it works out in the end.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, I guess my next question on this subject is, can a great purchase still become a poor investment because of poor management after settlement? I like the way Jody's like,
your turn.
Nominated.
Absolutely. Because if the home's not maintained and little things aren't reported, we only get to go through once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And a lot can happen in that time frame. So if renters aren't reporting what's actually happening to the home, those little issues become big issues.
And this goes back to like the grout that you said, like if you don't tell us that the grout's fallen out of the tiles and then all of a sudden
and that's
become
such
water.
a simple thing. But the minute you start to get water in behind those tiles, that leads to substantial costs and fixes.
And I love the way you said earlier, like that you actually teach the tenant how to report. So what does that process look like? Like, let's say you've used, the investor selected the tenant, and you get them in, they've moved in. When do you kind of take them through that?
Whilst they're moving into the property. So
Really?
It forms part of the paperwork, absolutely. But we've also got check sheets. So during the period of them, they ring up and give us a maintenance issue. We will run them through a checklist of what needs to be done for them to check whether it's an easy fix, like the power's gone off as an example. Unplugging all your appliances to see whether it was their kettle that was actually setting it off, or unplugging the dishwasher so we can isolate what the actual issue is. Or firstly, just ringing up the company, stepping out in the street and seeing, have your neighbours got power?
Oh, yeah,
That's always a big one.
But that's unbelievable that you do that, because I think a lot of homeowners, like first-time buyers, not just renters, don't get that. They need it's the similar thing that if you could just tell someone how to look after their house.
Do you know how many times we've sent Kieran out to properties to start their hot water services because they don't know how to turn on a pilot light, and YouTube videos do not help them?
Oh my God.
Which is fine.
Yep.
But that's all that rapport building that you do with the renters, isn't it? Because you're helping them out. And we're not relying on the owner to step in and do it. We're doing the simple things. It's a little bit, if we have maintenance issues and we're not sure, we'll go and have a look at it ourselves before we actually even report it to say, hey, we need to take it to the next level. We need someone else to do it.
Yeah, so it's like you're kind of telling them like how to isolate, how to narrow it down. And that's why I said that's life skills, that you're teaching them, because then.
But that's all in our SOPs as well. So that's actually emailed across to the renters so that they've got their own check sheets as well before they ring us. And when they ring us, we step them through the process.
No, unreal. I appreciate that so much. And Cam, when you're interstate, does that risk even feel like, I guess, does the risk feel even bigger because you can't just step in yourself? Like,
I'm not concerned by living
far
somewhere else with my properties because I've got the right property managers at the start.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. I know when I get a random phone call, I'm like, oh gosh, what's this? But I know it's going to get fixed as well.
Yeah.
So
it's not a dread.
It happens. It's and you just got to fix it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, you just do it.
Well, it's all part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
As an investor owning a property, stuff happens, you got to fix it.
I don't have any issues with any of my property managers because I know whatever they tell me, I'll fix, and then it just gets done. So it's the best part
Well,
about it.
here's the other importance for you picking such good property managers. What a lot of interstate investors don't realise when they hold property in Victoria is if you do have an issue, you can't actually use VCAT.
Yep.
And a lot of them don't actually realise that. It's up to you to take that further through the magistrates court. But yeah, VCAT will not assist you.
So, and that's because you need to have
the property, the renter and the landlord all living in the same state for you to be able to access VCAT. And that's why the communication and that rapport that you've got with the renter matters so dramatically.
So then what would happen in that case, like if there was a matter for VCAT, but I get your point though. It's the whole, like I'm playing a scenario here because obviously you haven't come across it. You've built those relationships because for this very reason that there's no VCAT to fall back on. But what does happen if shit gets bad? Is that personal lawyers and stuff?
It would be up to the landlord to make application at the magistrates court.
Wow, so they've got to go direct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then they can't get you to advocate or anything, can they? See, that's such a shame, and that's such an important, just little bit of like information to know as an interstate investor. So thank you for sharing that one.
Pleasure.
And I want to, go into some practical advice, I guess, because we're coming to the end of our time and I can't believe how quickly this episode went for me. So thank you so much. If someone's appointing a property manager this month, like someone tuning in is like, I am literally in the process of scanning, what are the first 3 questions they should ask them?
Go on.
You should be asking them how they do their open for inspection. So how long the opens are. Are you the one who's doing the open and meeting the potential renters? Are you going to be managing my property? So sort of seeing, is it broken down to individual roles to different people, or are you getting that end-to-end service from the one person? The other thing you should be asking them is, do you get your phone number, your personal phone number, your personal email address? Because a lot of the time what will happen is a property manager will just be able to give out the office or department phone number, and the email address will be something basic like Bayside Rentals 1 at whatever the agency is, which means that the communication is going to be really difficult, especially after hours if something was to go wrong.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to have that direct contact with the property manager. What's the third one?
It's really, really important that we find out how many years of experience your property manager has, how long they've worked at the company that you're with, where their last work was, how long they were there, if that's the question that you want to ask them. But more importantly, do they actually own a property themselves or have an investment?
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much about a home that needs to be taken into consideration. And for when you're not seeing your property for such a long time, it's us looking, does the sun hit the windows? Do they need to be repainted? Have we got wood rot happening in underneath it? It's those little things that as home owners and investors, we appreciate because we've all been there and had to fix them. But if that's not your training, if that's not your experience, it's very, very difficult to teach someone that.
Fantastic question.
Another thing I look at when I'm going into a property for an investor and I see things, I ask, who's managing this property? And I can use that as a negotiation tool as well. But it's one of those things that I'm seeing things that are wrong with the property. And if that same selling agent and property manager are the same company and things aren't going to be right, well, that's not one I'm going to.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Why wasn't it addressed already?
Exactly. So why is there no batteries in the smoke alarms?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, well, you're managing this, right? Oh, yep. Okay. Well, thanks for that. Go to the next company.
Yeah. No, I love asking that question of what do you want people to ask you kind of thing, because I think a lot of people don't know. I wouldn't have even thought of some of those questions, like you said, how long, but like also just and the experience. But even just simple things like, do I get your details or and how many people are involved here? Is it you? Do you do my inspections? That is key for knowing how that company operates. And, what's one green flag that makes you think this is a good operator?
Oh, you get their mobile number, but when you ring them, they answer. Or you rock up to an inspection and the person there is the actual property manager who's going to manage the file.
Yeah.
She's there to greet the clients so that she knows who's coming into it. That's really, really important. And I think that if I was to give some advice, ask your prospective property manager to show you what an ingoing condition report that they have done in the last 2 months looks like.
Yep. That's huge.
So that you've got an idea on what the report on your home's going to look like.
Yeah, and that's a great tip. And it goes back to what you do, Cam, is like that, comparing those reports to before you made that choice.
But yeah, that's my green flag, is the property manager at the opener that opens for half an hour.
Yeah. And they answer their bloody phone.
Are they answering their phone?
Yeah. And do you find, I'm sure these guys answer you all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking to you yesterday or in Mildura, you're on your way. So, yeah.
Oh, good on you. So it's such a breath of fresh air to hear that, because, sometimes it is hard to get in touch with agents, especially property managers, or it can be really difficult for any profession. But
we are a protected species.
You are a very protected species. We need to protect you guys. I guess what's one red flag that, should make an investor think twice? She's pointed at. Right.
Well, the red flag is not being able to have direct contact with the person who's going to be handling your file.
Yeah. Okay.
You not being able to have a rapport with them where there is mutual agreement on how you want your file handled. So if you've got specific things as an owner that you want done with your property, that should be accommodated.
Yeah, 100%. And
so you're telling me communication relationships is the key?
Absolutely.
Sounds like we have the same conversation every time we do a podcast.
Is it really? Is that what comes up?
It's all about communication and relationships and everything, and that's the business we're in.
I think that's the one thing that is often what a lot of like our listeners, and this is no offense to you guys, we love you, and this is why we have this show. It's about educating, but the whole purpose is we are a community and people business. We might be in property and everyone thinks, property houses money, property houses money. It's relationships. We don't get anything done without connection. Like it's the number one thing that buyers agents, property managers, real estate agents, doesn't matter. We all got connections.
And landlords just want to know that someone's got their back.
100%. And that's what we want you guys to feel. If you're thinking about investing or you have an investment property and you're not happy with your property manager, what should they do if they're not happy with their manager?
Call Frog.
Love you, Jody. Yeah, she got it.
Secret shop them. Go to a variety of them and find someone that you can actually then have a conversation with to ask those key questions of how your file's going to be handled.
Yeah.
Changing, a lot of landlords think that you need to wait until the end of the lease before you change agents. You can change agents at any time. So it's really, really important that the minute you're not feeling comfortable or you don't have that what's the word that I'm looking for? You don't have the faith in what they're doing. Do something about it then. Don't wait until it explodes and then we've got a lot to fix.
Yeah, and then it's like it's already at VCAT. It's already
not
midway.
going to get better.
Yeah.
So let's just bite it in the very, very early stages and get it back on track quickly.
Yeah.
And I've changed agents before.
Have you?
You know, the best part about changing agents is you call up the agent that you want to work with and they'll do it all for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We get to have those hard conversations with the current agent to be like, hey, sorry, you've lost the business. Give it to us. The owners don't have to do
Hold
that.
up. How does this conversation pan out? I can imagine it's not like oh, no worries, thanks.
It's normally via email.
I like it.
Yeah, the fun part is walking into the office to go to collect the keys. But yeah, it's all done over email or phone calls. But it's at the end of the day, they can't argue that back. They've done something to upset their client and that client has gone elsewhere and we're there to help.
Yeah, you're just doing it.
And hopefully they learned from the experience and fixed whatever process was that needed to be fixed or a bottleneck in their own business. Hopefully they can overcome that. But yeah.
I love it. Email is the way, and then you just got the awkward moment of picking up the keys. Like when you
walk in with a big smile on your face and it's all good.
You're like, hey, thanks so much.
Yeah,
all
pretty
the
much.
Best.
Pretty much.
I love it.
It's actually good fun.
Well, guys, I want to get your final thoughts from each of you. And Sherry, I'm going to go to you first. What's the one thing you wish more investors understood about property management?
There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, but a good property manager won't give you all the intricacies or make you part of that process. They will literally just protect your asset as though it was their own and not make you part of the process.
I love that. Great answer. And Jody, to you, what's the one thing owners should know about tenant selection before they hand over their property?
I think it's really important that they know that the legislation, at least in Victoria, how it is now, it's really difficult to get rid of a renter should something go wrong or if you're not happy with them. So it's really important, which is a good thing for renters because they need the protection, but sometimes it goes a little bit too far in the other direction. But it's really important to find that right renter from the start for your property manager to build that really good relationship with them, because if we can keep them happy and they're looking after the property, that at the end of the day, that's the main thing that we're trying to achieve.
100%. Thank you. That's actually a really good one.
Thank you.
And Cam, over to you. As the investor in this conversation, what do you want listeners to take away from this if they're about to settle on an investment property?
Do the right research in getting the right property manager, one that's going to look after your property. I've said this over and over again. The right property manager is do the right research to get the right tenant. The tenant will then go in and look after their property because it's their home. From there, the tenant will stay longer. The property manager will look after everything, and then you just set and forget.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for your valuable time. This has been such a fun episode because we've got the investor and the property managers in one room. So, Cam, thank you for pulling this together. And Jody and Sherry, for you guys sharing your knowledge and wisdom. You ladies are awesome.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure and we love what we do. So for us, it was easy and thank you for the invitation.
All right. Passion's everything.
Nice.
No, and that's why when Cam, like I said to you yesterday on the phone, Sherry, I trust Cam emphatically. So when he says, hey, you got to have a chat to this person, I'm like, all right, no worries. And the minute I spoke to you, I'm very gut feel as well. I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun. Got to do a separate episode and welcome you guys back because I would love to go through some of the detailed stuff that you do as property managers. So thank you all of you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, I think the biggest takeaway from this episode is that buying the asset is only the beginning. So once you've settled, the performance and protection of that investment really does sit in the hands of the people managing it week to week. And that's why choosing the right property manager and understanding the tenant selection process matters so much. So a huge thank you to Sherry, Jody and Cam for unpacking what actually happens behind the scenes and why this piece of the process deserves way more attention than it usually gets. If you want to connect with Cam or Sherry and Jody's team, their details will be in the show notes below and also on screen. And if this episode helped you better understand what happens after acquisition, make sure you follow the No BS Real Estate podcast for more honest conversations around finance and property. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate podcast, powered by Agresta AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.agresta.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Agresta AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodi.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.